I will start my speech from 3, 2, 1. Panels as government team. This house prefers a world where human emotions, happiness, sadness, and pain can be transferred to others because first, to democratize emotional labor and distribute emotional burden fairly, and two, to describe systematic alienations caused by emotional opacity. But before I jump to my arguments, let me characterize 3 panels. First, what is the current status quo? And two, what do we mean by emotional transfer? And three, what kind of world are envisionary? First of all, what is the current status quo? Right now, emotions are deeply privatized. People suffer in silence because society lacks real tools to access and respond to other inner states. Emotional laborers aren't women, caretakers, or empaths are disconnected from emotional responsibility. These products burn out, loneliness, and systematic inequality. Second, what do we mean by emotional transfer? This is not just about empathy or sympathy. We imagine a world where people can consequently transmit and receive a portions of emotional, where whether it's grief, happiness, trauma, or people like an emotional download. The transfer is consequential and time bound, and it can be partial or complete. Third, what kind of worlds are visionary? We're not proposing forced emotional exposure. Instead, we're creating a society where emotional are no longer in silent prison or private burden. It's a world that treats feelings as social, not solitary phenomena, creating mutual responsibility for each other emotional well-being. Farming panels. Today I will prove 2 big things. A. Why emotional transfer led to a fairer, more equitable society. And B. Why system repairs the damage of emotional alienations in modern life. Moving to my arguments, I have to point to my arguments panels. First, to democratize emotional labor and redistribute emotional burden fairly, and two, to describe systemic alienations caused by emotional opposition. First, in our current world, emotional labor is invisible and uniquely distributed. So, uh, I think to democratize emotional labor and distribute the emotional burden fairly. For example, mothers are expected to absorb their family's emotional crisis. Therapists, teacher, and nurses do most of the feeling work, often unpaid, underpaid. Emotional transfer changed the game, not the smell. Now people can literally feel what others are carrying. Those who are emotionally passive are no longer allowed to remain discreet. Emotional support becomes a smarter communication responsibility. Why is this important? It challenges the gendered, classed, and ridiculizing imbalance of emotional work. Notice the burden of caregiving, grief, and processing trauma can be acutely shared across community. In best scenario, build a society where emotional exhaustions no longer falls on the flare panels. But in worst scenario, people might feel overwhelmed, but unlike now, they're at least included in the process, not by standard. Second, to describe systematic alienations caused by emotional obesity. Capitalist society thrives on judgment. People become efficient in measures. Your boss doesn't care how you can feel because they can feel it. Friends ghost each other because they don't see the pain they cause. But if emotional transfer exists, invisibility ends, yeah, yeah, you're encountering someone's sadness, you feel a piece of it. You harm someone, you resolve their fear, not as punishment, but as a mechanism of radical accountability. Why is this important? This is restores generic human connections. It's not surveillance, it's relations truth. You can no longer hide behind, I don't know, you feel, you know. In our best scenario is emotional awareness becomes central to institutions, families, and politics. But in worst case, some people discomfort, but emotional growth requires discomfort. And oppositions make say, but people with abuse miss art becomes now. But we say they they real abuse is the emotional neglect that already exists now. Transfer gives us tools, boundaries, and the chance to consequently evolve. I finished my speech and thank you.